Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Righty. Whoops. I'm not hearing myself. I'm saying hello. I'm hoping I'm on, but I'm not hearing myself. Oh boy. Hello, Kevin. I can't hear you either if you're trying to talk to me. Oh, damn it. I am going to continue on, despite the fact that I can't hear anything. Okay, hi. I'm just going to keep going. You'll forgive me the sound of my voice, I hope, and because I'm still fighting something. One day it's tolerable, the next day it's not. I don't know what I got, but the tests all say I don't have COVID, which is so odd since all the people I was with for Thanksgiving pretty much do. How the hell? I was in the same room. I don't get it. I don't get it. Lucky? Must just be luck. I mean, the only pretty much, yeah, they are all in. Kevin's trying to help me here. Everything is plugged in and then plugged in again, and my volume's up, and it's all there, but I can't hear. So I guess does that means I'm not going to be able to hear any callers? Shit, that may be. I'm sorry, and I don't know what the problem is, but there's so much to talk about. My God. There's a lot of stories that deserve attention. There's a lot of compelling happenings around the world, and I'm speaking mostly of the courage, extraordinary courage of young protesters in China and in Iran. It just blows me away. We can take to the streets here and have very little fear that we will end up imprisoned or dead. Obviously, that does happen, but it's rare. That is not the case if you take to the streets in China, or if you take to the streets in Iran. You are truly, truly risking your life. And my awe and respect for the people who have the courage to do so is immeasurable. But when I see the pictures and I look at them, my heart just weeps, because odds are they're not going to be able to go up against these autocratic regimes who will happily murder their own to maintain power. So I just am blown away by them, and I'm reminded of the common humanity of those of us who live in freer societies and those who live in autocratic societies. People are people, and they desire and they want freedom, even when they've never experienced it, even when it's only some kind of a dream, an idea, a vague awareness that other people living in this world enjoy something unimaginable to them. And then, you bring it home here to the United States, where the idea of our freedom has become unrecognizable to many of us. Because we are such a divided nation, both sides in the divide fighting to preserve our freedom. It's just that we define freedom so differently. Our side, the freedom to determine what gender we are, the freedom to marry a person of any color, any religion, any gender, because we love them. And on the other side, the freedom to exercise their right to deny other Americans their freedom because of their religion. And I mean, I don't know. We see that with the passage yesterday of the Respect for Marriage Act. In these divided times, anytime, anything, especially something involving something as contentious as homosexuality and race, that it would pass in this divided country, in this divided government, is an amazing thing. Of course, when you look closer at what was passed, it is not all that astonishing. I mean, the people who voted for the Respect for Marriage Act merely voted to allow people who are married legally in their states to be seen as married in any state in the Union, even those that do not allow marriages of their kind. So this Respect for Marriage Act does not force any state to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, but it only requires that state recognize that those people were legally married in some other godforsaken state. And what this, I mean, so stop and think about that. It's saying that the federally gay marriage exists, and the states. I mean, think of a state like Pennsylvania. We still don't have anything on our books as a state that prevents an employer from firing somebody because they're gay. We don't have that protection, gay people in this state. And the thing is that this law allows what's called, and here's where I was when I was talking about these different definitions of freedom. This religious Respect for Marriage Act, exempts people whose religion tells them that gay people or gay marriage is an abomination. That this bill that was passed protects those religious people. This is what the other side calls their religious freedom. Their religious freedom to refuse to bake a cake for a gay wedding. So the fact that this Respect for Marriage Act has those loopholes in it, which is, by the way, why the Mormon Church was able to say it supported the law, because it really doesn't. It's acknowledging that on a purely civil level, that this country allows gay people to wed, but that is still something that is, I guess, repulsive or something to religious folk. And the fact that the law specifically, it's the reason you got enough Republicans to vote for it. This is how they did it. They would do it if there would be this no church, no religious person will suffer any legal recriminations. Is that what I mean? Yeah. That's not quite what I mean, is it? It's a bitch here, guys. I'm sitting here talking, and it feels like I'm talking. It's the opposite of singing in the shower. Is where I am. I'm talking, and I hear, my voice. My head's all stuffed up. My voice, and I can't. I feel like I don't know. I feel totally alone. And it's hard, and if you're totally alone and you're talking animatedly and with energy, at least as much as I could muster, you feel odd, to say the least. I'm going to try to keep going, but I just feel whatever. Anyway, right. Jonathan Capehart did a piece. He is both Black and gay and married, and he wrote a piece today that sort of said, well, gee whiz, am I supposed to be turning cartwheels over this? That you've passed this bill, but it obviously contains all of these reminders that for so many people in the country in which I live, I'm channeling Capehart here, that my marriage is considered an abomination. How is that not a, I can't remember what he said. Hang on. I actually did write it down somewhere. How is that not an insult to my and my husband's dignity? Well, it is an insult. It is, but it's the only way it would pass. And it was still too much for the majority of Republican senators who would not sign off on this measure, despite how limited it was, despite how it went out of its way not to tread on the sensibilities, however arrived at, either through out and out bigotry or through religious teaching of other people in the country. And in fact, it makes clear that no church would lose its tax-exempt status. You tell me how any church ever loses its tax-exempt status. Tell me. Have you ever heard of one? I'm willing to bet that about 80% or more of the institutions which enjoy that status, tax exempt, who wouldn't like that? I'm willing to bet that the vast majority don't deserve it for the reasons that were initially given that allowed them to be tax exempt. So I am looking. By the way, if you want to hear the Republicans who voted that this was too much for them, the Respect for Marriage Act, they are, I'm going to name names, okay? John Barrasso, Marsha Blackburn, John Boozman, Mike Braun, Bill Cassidy, John Cornyn, Tom Cotton, Kevin Kramer, Mike Crapo, Ted Cruz, Steve Daines, Deb Fisher, Lindsey Graham, Charles Grassley, Bill Haggerty, Josh Hawley, can never say his name, John Hoeven, Cindy Hyde-Smith, James Inhofe, Ron Johnson, John Kennedy, James Lankford, Mike Lee, Roger Marshall, Mitch McConnell, Jerry Moran, Rand Paul, James Risch, Mike Rounds, Marco Rubio, Tim Scott, Rick Scott, Richard Shelby, John Thune, Tommy Tuberville, and Roger Wicker. And by the way, if you think that that means that your lame duck senator, Pat Toomey, voted for it, you'd be incorrect. He did not. He didn't even show up. God. So, there you have it. Yeah, here it is, more clearly than I said it. In a condition that Republican backers insisted upon, the bill would guarantee that religious organizations would not be required to provide any goods or services for the celebration of any marriage and could not lose tax-exempt status or other benefits for refusing to recognize same-sex unions. Okay, all right, okay. That's our religious liberties. But I will quote a Democratic senator on the floor before the vote, and he said this, Senator Michael Bennet, Colorado. As a nation, we will never flourish if we choose to depend on a permanent underclass deprived of some or all freedoms others enjoy. That would be correct. Well, good news was that Stewart Rhodes, the Yale Law School graduate who heads the Oath Keepers, was convicted of sedition. Incredible. And it is a win. Yeah, they let him go on some, and the jury didn't make a lot of sense, if you ask me, but they got him on 2 counts of sedition as well as another member of the Oath Keepers. And obviously, this will be appealed and then appealed again. And I suppose all these things will end up in the Supreme Court. Everything ends up at this freaking Supreme Court because the neo-fascists and the seditionists know that they've got friends on that court. They'll all end up there. I mean, listen to how crazy these people are. The prosecution, in making its case, showed jurors hundreds of encrypted text messages that were being sent feverishly amongst the Oath Keepers prior to January 6th. And here's what these guys were freaking about. They knew that Chinese agents had infiltrated the government and that Biden was a mere puppet of the Chinese Communist Party. And he intended to cede control of the country. That is what these people believed. Never mind that they were doing this in the service of the former president, who in fact was a puppet of the Russian government, and who allowed Russians extraordinary access to the country. They were sure that Antifa, I mean, these people are all living in a fever dream, convinced that Antifa would storm the White House and overpower the Secret Service and drag Trump from the building. I don't know what this says about having a Yale law degree. I'm serious. I have to remind myself to give my brother some crap about that. He's got one. It's been mightily devalued. Okay. Guys, I want to reiterate, or I don't think I'd said it yet, iterate, that while I don't think I can take calls, I can get emails. So if you need to get a word in or a thought, please, Lynn Cullen at Lynn Cullen Show at gmail.com, I believe. Right. Let me see what else. Hey, speaking, I said something earlier, I'm remembering, about the courage of the Chinese and Iranian young people. wanting the very thing that we have so little appreciation of, I think. And that brings me to the soccer game. I actually watched it yesterday, kind of. I didn't. I find it, I don't know. It's like low hockey. I don't even get, I mean, you know, with hockey, at least you have the speed at which it's happening. But, and granted, with soccer, the thing you're trying to follow, the circular object, is larger than a puck. But I guess Americans are, you know, we've been weaned on the delight of scoring. You know, we like to score. And since scoring is clearly something that soccer doesn't necessarily do a lot, man, you know, to sit there for over 90 minutes, and I still don't even understand that. I was looking at thinking, oh, thank God it's almost over. And then they said they've added 9 minutes. And I thought, what? So I don't understand the game. I do not get it. I was nervous because I wanted the U.S. to win. And then they had 9 friggin' minutes for me to be nervous. And I wasn't feeling well. And I thought, no. I turned the sound off. Anyway, I have to say that I'm worrying about the Iranian players. I was somewhat ambivalent. I wanted us to win, because I'll be damned if I want the Iranian government to enjoy a win over the country they hate more than any other, except maybe Israel. I don't know. I mean, death to America is like, I think that's imprinted on their driver's licenses or something. So, I mean, you wanted to win. But these poor players, I mean, like, there's not enough stress that a team representing a nation must feel, but representing a nation that'll kill you and your family at the drop of a hat, and then having the courage not to sing your national anthem in your first game. And then clearly, because somebody scared the shit out of you, you sort of mumble along on the second game with the national anthem. Those guys were under so much pressure. And my understanding is that when the U.S. won, there were a lot of places in Iran where you could hear people cheering because they didn't want this team that symbolized their country to win. Very, very, and I'm worrying about those guys. I really am. You imagine then having to go back? Not only did you have the nerve to disrespect the country by not singing the anthem, but then you've lost to the evil America. Wow. God help them. So I don't know. What else? There's something, my son first sent me this, and I thought, what? And then I saw something else about it, and I said, what? Now tell me what you think of when you think of San Francisco. I'll tell you what you think of. You think of a very pricey place that is known for, being one of those lefty California kind of places, right? Progressive and stuff, right? San Francisco, where where a studio apartment will cost you a few mil. My son first sent me this, and I thought, that can't be true, but it was. The San Francisco, Board of Supervisors, whatever it is, their legislative branch, passed a bill that allows police to deploy killer robots. When my son sent it to me, he sent me a picture of one of the killer robots. Good God in heaven. Now, it doesn't look like a human with a gun. It's mounted on it looks like a vehicle with some heavy duty killing instrument on it. But what? First of all, for all I know, you can do that in a lot of places. I just never have seen it before. The San Francisco, policy now says, yes, police can deploy killer robots. And they included language saying that the police must evaluate all alternative options. Well, of course, options are alternative. All other options or de-escalation tactics before employing the robots. Oh, and it does say here, I think, that only the chief of police, the assistant chief, or the deputy chief may authorize the use of robot deadly force. Good God in heaven. So, always something. What a world we live in. Mary writes, while I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth, I think it's important to understand that this law, she's talking about the Respect for Marriage Act, doesn't prevent states from banning gay marriage going forward. Well, that's true. That is absolutely true. So, yeah, okay, Mary, I'll let you say it. So if Obergefell is overturned, and that was the case, the Supreme Court case, that gave the gay people the right to marry in the country. If that is overturned, as Roe was overturned, then again, the states would go right back. And I believe they have the same kind of trigger laws for that. So immediately, if that were to happen, there'd be 26 states where gay people can't marry. Now, there are already a ton of states where gay people can't marry, I guess, right? What this bill says is that you've got to, I don't know. Though, so if they were to do that, so you're living in one of these wonderful progressive states where gay people can't marry, and you want to get married. Well, because at least of this bill, you can now travel somewhere and get married and then come back. I don't know. Mary says it does ensure that current marriages be recognized by the federal government and all other states, which is powerful protection, to be sure. But she says the Supreme Court can still obviously mess with us. And she's put in something that the ACLU put out. If the Supreme Court were to overturn Obergefell, and for people to say, oh, they're not going to do that. Well, hello, we now know they will. And in fact, the reason that there was such a scramble to pass this Respect for Marriage Act was because of what Clarence Effin Thomas said in his concurring decision overturning Roe, where he flat out said, and, I think we should reconsider, given what we've just done here, marriage equality and access to contraception. You recall that? So that's what happened. So the ACLU says, if the court were to overturn Obergefell like it overturned Roe, the Respect for Marriage Act would not stop any state from once again refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. The federal government would still be required to respect same-sex couples' already existing marriages, as would other states in many circumstances. But a state that wanted to get out of the business of issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples would not be violating the Respect for Marriage Act. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Mary also says the fact, I'm testing negative for COVID. So she says it might well be that you do have COVID. That's what I was thinking. But your viral load is not heavy enough to be detected. Your immune system is efficiently fighting it off. I do think that's a possibility. So I just had this little sort of bleed through kind of thing. I just don't understand. Although, as far as I know, I'm going to call after the show, my mother was in that house. It's her house. And she still is in it. The house of the super spreader Thanksgiving. And she didn't get it. Now, she got it in the summer. She already beat COVID back once. But you don't want a 100-plus-year-old woman to get COVID twice. Damn. So I don't know. I'm as boosted and vaccinated as my siblings, and yet I don't know. And I know my brother. I talked to him yesterday. He's sick. He is really sick. And he said, if I hadn't gotten all those shots, he said, I think I can see how this would kill you. It can still kill you. Well, I don't know. I've tested myself every day, and I'm now thinking I don't have it. But as she says, you don't know if I might be shedding it anyway. But after a while, if I were around it, as I was, obviously, in close proximity for days, but I left that viral nest on Friday, and I don't know, that's almost a week. Negative. I don't know. I'm holed up. Can't say I'm having much of a good time, but I'm having a better time than my siblings and my nieces and anyone else in the family who's fallen victim since. God. And what's so funny is we're all so careful. Oh, God. Let me see. I got lots of stuff here. Oh, this is not heavy. Let's do this. Let's do this. Maybe you saw this, and for those of you who did, you can tune me out. But it's something that you, I think, know, but maybe not with the specificity that that I'm going to suggest. It was a piece in the New York Times about something that's being called shrinkflation. And it's a perfect term for it. That, like, you know, the bag of, let's do it, a cereal box, the cereal that you've been buying forever. All of a sudden, the box is just a little bit taller. And they're calling it family size, not giant size. They changed the nomenclature. They changed the packaging, the size of the packaging a little bit. And frankly, it looks like you're getting more. And believe me, the price is up too. But shrinkflation is there's actually less cereal in there than there was before in the smaller box. And this goes for dog food. This goes for detergent. This goes for butter spreads, toilet paper. And I've noticed this. I wondered, am I using more toilet paper? I find myself using more, and then I have to refill my, the toilet paper roll more often than I remember. And I thought, have I all of a sudden gone like toilet paper crazy? Am I doing something I didn't know? The rolls are all smaller. Virtually every single brand has been downsized and continues to be. Yeah, they just take a little bit at a time so you don't notice it, but they also raise prices. So you pay more and you get less. This is shrinkflation. And it's just one guy, a guy named Edgar Dworsky, who is the one who's compiling all this data. Nobody else is. He's the one who first started noting it. He's the one who's become crazed about it. He's a semi-retired lawyer. He was a market researcher at one point. He also had a little gig for a while as a consumer reporter on television. Boy, but he was good. So this gives, businesses have a way of stealing from you and then saying, inflation. While they're saying inflation, they're actually giving you less. So inflation's at a 40-year high, and businesses and corporations have been shrinkflating their products in an attempt to hide price increases. Toothpaste, another one. Sports drinks, all been shrinkflated. Dawn dish soap lost half an ounce from one of its bottle sizes, but you're paying not less. You're paying more. And it's really hard to catch them at this because in order to catch them, you have to have one of the old containers and be able to, do the comparison. But normally, the shelves in the grocery store have only one, those are gone, the old ones are gone, all of a sudden the new ones are there. And so it's hard. So this guy, Dworsky, he's wandering around. He especially looks for any item that's called new and improved. I've always, anytime something says new and improved, I tend to look at it with a jaundiced eye, as anyone should. He said, but the most important thing is to look at the weight. That weight. It's getting lighter and lighter and lighter, and the price is getting higher and higher and higher. Which brings me to another funny, I don't know how funny it is, it's ridiculous, bit. Where is it? This has to do with the lawsuit. This I found in the Washington Post. And it's about a Velveeta product. Why anyone, I'm talking as a girl from the dairy state, why anyone would buy Velveeta is beyond me. But plenty of people do. So, this, there's a Velveeta microwavable mac and cheese cup. And the packaging for it says, ready in 3.5 minutes. And so for the busy person who likes eating crap, this is, whoa, that's amazing. I'm getting me some of that. One such person was Amanda Ramirez. And she's now suing the company, that'd be Kraft Heinz, about the shells and cheese product. She says, had she known the truth, that it was 3.5 minutes in the microwave, but that didn't take into consideration that she had to, now get this, she had to, what, open? She had to open the package. She had to remove the lid and the cheese sauce pouch. She had to add water. She had to stir. And then she had to microwave. Now, and then when she takes it out, she had to stir in the cheese sauce pouch. So I got to tell you. And then if you want the cheese sauce to thicken, you have to let it stand. Well, yeah. What was that you said about 3.5 minutes? I mean, we're up to, even if you're moving fast, you're up to 5, maybe 4.5. I don't know. And if you let your sauce be a little runny. She's suing because that's the labeling is not, it's true. It's not true. It's not true. So, So Heinz, Kraft Heinz, is being accused of fraud, false advertising, negligent misrepresentation, breach of warranty, unjust enrichment, deceptive and unfair trade practices. And they're making this class action because they found more than 100 other victims all over the country. I don't know. Wait, so you're on the jury. I mean, the fact is, it is more than 3.5 minutes. But I don't see that anyone was harmed. I don't know. I don't know what they're asking for. It's too funny. The attorney says, we want corporate America to be straightforward and truthful Well, hello? Yeah, I want the tooth fairy to be real. We want corporate America to be straightforward and truthful in advertising. My firm represents clients in what most would say are more compelling cases like arsenic in baby food, but we don't feel that corporations should get a pass for any deceptive advertising. Consumers deserve better. So I don't know. There it is. This guy, by the way, is a lawyer who has had success. He went after Kellogg with their strawberry Pop-Tarts. Don't ask why. They contain additional fruit. He went after Betty Crocker and Keebler because they said their cookie cake fudge mixes don't contain milk fat. And he took on, he just goes after all of these. And I love the fact that somebody is doing this pushback, but I don't know. The woman who is suing Kellogg over the Pop-Tarts was asking for $5 million in damages. I don't know what this. Oh, he's asking $5 million again. Well, yeah, God. Ridiculous, huh? Only in America. Headline: Her mac and cheese took more than 3.5 minutes. She's suing. Yeah, that's America. Terry says, my partner has been down for a week and he was -2. Little energy. Yeah. Get well. He's saying it might be that RVS thing. I don't think so because I'm not coughing a lot. I'm not. I would think this was, a weak kind of flu-y thing, even though it mostly sounds like a cold. I have no idea. And you know what? In this day and age, you just don't know. I mean, I know that I am a potential carrier of something that would make somebody else sick or very sick, and I gotta lay low. But I can lay low. And there are, as I said the other day, there are a lot of other people who do not have that ability. God almighty. Oh, excuse me. I'm not sleeping well either. I'm so tired. Okay, what else I got? Listen to this. This is somebody named Lynn who sent me this. And I just want to say, Lynn, I bow to you in terms of your the energy with which you go on vacation. Wow. I am such a stick in the mud. I am so inert. I am, yeah. So, she's saying, I wanted to tell you about the rest of my trip to New England. So I don't have the, okay, so this is just part of her trip. Listen to this. I volunteered and painted railroad ties for 8 days at a Maine state park near the coast. I ached every night but needed to do something other than just tour. Wow. Then I went to Massachusetts and found more interesting things. I went to Concord and learned a lot about the Revolution, Ralph Waldo, David Henry. Why? Oh, come on. Ralph Waldo, who? You're on such first and second name basis with these guys. I love this. Ralph Waldo, David Henry, Louisa, and Nathaniel. You know, I'm wondering, who's David Henry? What's his last name? Why am I blanking on that? Ralph Waldo Emerson, Louisa May Alcott, Nathaniel Hawthorne, David Henry. I don't know. I'm embarrassed. She goes on, and all this is with exclamation points. Like, I mean, she's just taking all this in and loving it. I went to their graves and their houses. It was amazing. The town has a lot of old bookstores and little shops. Then I went to Boston on commuter rail. And surely I could have spent a lot of time there looking up history, but instead I drank Sam Adams and took a bus tour. Then I went to Amherst and toured Emily Dickinson's house and grave. I found an old typewriter in town for my brother. Watched She Said in their theater. Then I meandered home through Punxsutawney and Brady's Bend. It was such a good tour. Maybe you'd like to do something like that, or maybe you did already. I did not. And I love the idea of it, but wow. Good for you. All I want to say is good for you. You're living life. You're immersing yourself. You're curious. You're interested. God, I love it. Lynn, I live in my head. I also have trouble now perambulating. I've got some serious issues with my foot and my knee. And so anytime something involves going somewhere and sightseeing, it's just something that just seems too much. But I just love what you... Oh, yes. Thank you, Gigi. David Henry. She meant Henry David. That's right. Gigi. Thoreau. But so did you know him so well? You have a... Geez. Unbelievable. Anyway, cute. Mab says, I got COVID and got sick about 6 weeks ago. I had all the vaccines and boosters, and I only experienced what seemed to be a mild flu. I have moderate asthma, as do I, and although the COVID cleared up, I developed pneumonia, which I just got completely rid of this week. So please be careful. Yeah. Thank you. Wow. Yeah. But we're done with it. I've even said it. I'm done with it. It's just not done with us. And then, I wondered if maybe my home tests just weren't good enough and I should go get one of those, what is that, PCR? And there's this company, and Barbara reminded me of it, as I used them once before, called Curative. And they have these mobile clinics they set up in places like out at the waterfront or at the Carnegie Museum. and you make an appointment with them, and you stay outside, and everything is done through a little hole in a window. But they then, it's a heavy dutier test, I guess, than the one. And I thought, well, yeah, I'll go do that. And then, you know what I read the very next day in the paper? That the count, they're stopping these tests. They're pulling all these guys out. I think they're gone now. They're gone as of Friday or something. Curative, the company itself is shutting down because they weren't getting enough business. You know, some of the sites they'd see quite a few people in a day, and other sites someone would be sitting there and just one person would show up. So I believe the county health department has now said that they're discontinuing the program, which again shows you that we've moved on, and yet people are still getting sick. Okay, well, guys, thank you. Sorry for the fumbling beginning. I finally got used to just sitting here yapping to myself, but that was disconcerting initially, and I have not a clue. And my poor producer is going to now go nuts. This has happened a few times before, but I know all the things to look for on my end, I think. I don't know. So thank you very much. And I intend to be here again tomorrow. But the virus inside of me, I guess, will be the final determinant of that. Since, as I said earlier, some days I feel I'm good. And then others, I just go down. So we'll see. Okay. But I do intend to be here again tomorrow. Thank you so much. And toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.